Hey everybody, it's Rod with Geek Bombast. We are back. We've been missing for a couple of weeks. We had a lot of crazy weather down here in Texas, and that combined with some work stuff going on, I've been missing for just a couple of weeks. But today we're back, and starting this week, we should be back regularly every week from now on. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about a pretty awesome book, one of my favorites by one of my favorite creators, a pair of creators. It is a creator-owned book. Brian Michael Bendis, Michael Avon Oeming's Powers, the Definitive Collection, Volume 1. That's right, Volume 1 is what we're going to talk about. Powers began in around the year 2000, and it is a story of a police officer who also happens to have a mysterious past, but he, more importantly, is policing a world where superheroes exist. So it's kind of a crime procedural book talking about crime and how it is affected on the police level from day to day with superhero interaction. It's a great book. The Definitive Collection is up to Volume 4, so you really have a lot to catch up with if you haven't been reading Powers in this big definitive collection. Let's take a look at Volume 1. Let's see what you guys think. All right, everybody, here we are talking about the definitive hardcover collection, Volume 1 of Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming's Powers. Let's check it out, everybody. So first of all, you can see it's got a really nice cover. It's a nice, thick book. Lots of stuff there to look at. Volume 1, of course, Ain't It Cool News, Comic Buyer's Guide, Wizard Magazine, and anyone who loves comics anywhere loves. So we're going to check this out. Now you can see there's a pretty big definitive line here, this white line, and that's going to make a difference. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Nice big chunk when it opens up. A nice leatherette kind of cover here where it's die cut in, so you've got some color there, which is great if you do happen to lose your slip cover. We'll get right into it. Now this again collects issues 1 through 11. There is the title page, so you can take a look at everything here, of course. The first story is Who Killed Retro Girl? And what I like is on each chapter, you've got this kind of nice division, which kind of sets things up and makes it look a little nicer. You get into Oeming's art, which is really beautifully rendered here. The dialogue really folds in really well. I would say my only complaint early on in this book is a little tiny bit of gutter loss. Right here is what I'm talking about. Right here in particular. You really have to kind of press that down and twist it a little bit to get that. So you do get on the inside at the front, on the outside at the back of the book, a little bit of gutter loss on the inside. Not too much. Not enough to really kind of deter you from purchasing it. And the more you get into here, the deeper into it you get, the less that gutter loss kind of affects you. So lots of really cool stories in here. We'll flip through, including one of my favorites, the Warren Ellis story. If you're not familiar with this, it's a story where the main character of the book actually interacts with a writer named Warren Ellis. So definitely kind of cool, kind of meta, if you will. You collect Roleplay, which is Volume 2 of the story. So you've got both Who Killed Retro Girl and Roleplay in the book, which is a pretty cool arc. Again, featuring the lovely art of Oeming, Bendis' wordy dialogue, which I happen to love. And then you're going to get into the back here. Let's talk a little bit about kind of some of the extras. Now, we're going to talk a bit about this because there's a lot of extras. Here's the part that I think is cool. All of this, let me get that in there a little closer. All of this is bonus content. That's right. That's your story. That's your bonus content. Lots of stuff to get into here. So, what do we have? You've got some supplemental material. Powers, the Comic Shop News strips. So the actual strips, and they read like this, that were included in Comic Shop News, which is pre the original story. Powers That Be, 5 Minutes with Mike Oeming. This is an article about Mike Oeming, and it kind of gets into the next thing, which is the Powers Coloring Activity Book. And it actually has the whole book in here. It is black and white. I don't recommend drawing in it, but you can definitely check out, make photocopies of this, and actually have the coloring book, which I think is pretty cool. The full script to issue 1. A lot of people love Bendis' writing, and here they reproduce it just as it was on the page. The first issue of the book, the full script, which is kind of neat. Anatomy of a cover concept. Now this is something that is pretty interesting. What this does is it gives you the finished cover to a book, and then it gives you some original art, kind of where it was, where it began, where it ended up, sketch concepts where you can see kind of the ideas he was playing with before he figured out what he wanted to do for a lot of these covers. As a matter of fact, I think for all 11 covers you've got some sketch stuff and then these extra covers that go on here to give you an idea of what they're doing. These were pretty famous where he did based on I believe record albums. Some additional supplemental art, abandoned illustrations for Powers, stuff that he did, Mike Avon Oeming did and didn't end up using. A sketchbook regarding the characters. So here you've actually got sketchbooks for each of the characters. Walker, Pilgrim, or Deanna Pilgrim. Kind of some ideas of where she ended up, where she started. She originally may have been a dark-haired character, may have originally had longer hair. So kind of a cool thing where it gives you some concept stuff. Retro Girl, Johnny Royale, Diamond, all sorts of cool stuff. This one in particular is the image, and I'll read you a little bit of what it says here. It's the image that started it all. Mike did a pinup of my comic book series Jinx in a kabuki style he was kind of working with just for fun. It's now referred to as his power style. The single image inspired everything in the book. So kind of a cool idea that he's got here, kind of trying out that new style. Powers cameos, where it actually talks about all the different characters that have cameos in the book. Very cool. And then one of my favorite parts is this. This is the best of the letters column. And it actually, one of the great things about the single issues of Powers is that it has a letters column where Brian Michael Bendis is kind of funny, vicious, tears into his readers, makes jokes, points out things that he likes, things that he's reading, things that he's into while he's working on the book. And this is actually put in the book. So you can see lots of cool stuff, and so you really get a feel for what it was like to bring this in single issue form. If you were not picking it up in single issue form, you don't feel like you lose any of the magic. Then you get into the really cool part, which is the all stalker letters column, where he posts a bunch of letters that are kind of stalkerish and a little creepy. He talks about his best quotes of the month. Best of No Life, where he talks about things he was reading, movies he liked, books he was reading, DVDs, all that kind of fun stuff. And then, of course, an item where Howard Stern talks about Brian Michael Bendis. He, of course, put it in there because he's a big Stern fan. And then a thank you on the last page. Guys, this is a huge book. It's got a ton of stuff. There's no reason not to check it out. I don't know why you don't already own it. You're a fool if you don't. If you can find a copy, get a copy. It is probably one of the greatest special editions that I've ever read because it's just jam-packed with content. Not only do you get the story, but also on top of that, you just get a ton of awesome, awesome bonus material. So Powers Volume 1, definitely check out the definitive hardcover collection. Get all of them. Again, there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 of them out right now, so definitely check them out. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rod with Geek Bombast. As always, subscribe on our YouTube page, subscribe on our iTunes page, and leave us comments to let us know what you think. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next week.